I wanted to have a short talk with you guys because, as you know, I'm just starting this channel and there's not a lot of traction because, you have to get some consistency to make it work, especially on YouTube. So if you find that as you go through my channel that I'm providing information that helps you, inspires you, information that you think can help save the health of a loved one, share it with them. Okay, like it, please subscribe to the channel, and even click the bell so that you know when I drop another one of these, which can of course help you. Okay, champs, fitness fam, pre-retirees, wannabes of all ages. I'm wrapping it up. I'll start on the subject of this talk in just a few minutes. Okay, your coach Sid just finished a 30-minute training run on the treadmill. Let's take a look. According to my watch, about 5.5 kilometers. That's my pace, 30 minutes. Sorry about that, I was saving my results to go up into the cloud. Okay, Coach Sid at your service. On today, this fine Thursday, April 2nd, I'm doing a light to medium workout, which consisted of a little over 5K on the treadmill. And then I'm gonna do some body weight calisthenics. Not too much, but enough to feel it. Now, the subject of today's conversation. This applies to all ages, but especially to my peers, 40 years old and above. And some parts of this really apply to the men in my audience. Let's get started. 1, how much training is too much and becomes counterproductive, detrimental to optimizing our hormones? Now, fellas, we're talking testosterone, which according to most studies peaks in your early to mid-20s. And then after that, it's supposed to be a steady decline. But I'm here to tell you that's not necessarily true. As recently as 2024, when I last did blood tests for testosterone, I had the average of a 25-year-old, and I was 61 at the time. So don't let statistics fool you. It's a result of your intelligent efforts, your diet, and your sleep hygiene. Let me repeat that. In order to optimize your hormones, this is for everyone, you must have consistent sleep hygiene, high quality sleep, which means going to bed and waking up at nearly the same time, mostly. Nothing is perfect. Because during deep and REM sleep, especially, that is when the body renews itself. That is when a male's body produces its testosterone to get you back up to the heights you need in the morning. Now, if you're doing aerobic training, how much is too much and how much is assisting you in your proper functioning? So, what I tell men, especially men, is that if you're doing too much at too high an intensity and too frequently, you will find that in the mornings, you are not experiencing the same sequoia effect that you should be experiencing. Now, I'm talking wood and I'm talking wake up time. So let's say you're training for a marathon and your body will tell you when you started to go past your limits of recovery because 1, your sleep won't be as good, your sleep quality will degrade, and 2, you will not wake up 5 mornings plus a week with that morning surprise. You know, the one that your wife is so happy about you getting fit. It makes her very happy that you're taking good care of yourself. So, how do you know when it's too much? It's individual. A chart doesn't just tell you, and it's not one size fits all. What I find is that when I'm training for even a half marathon, I have to be very careful once my weekly running load goes over a certain number of miles or kilometers, because after that, I start to feel a little sluggish in the morning, you might say. And that's when I know, let's get to bed earlier, let's make sure we're eating enough protein, let's make sure we're not eating too many sweets and desserts, things that can raise our insulin and diminish our production of HGH and testosterone. So these are things that you want to consider. Now, if you're committed and you have to train for it, just keep in mind, if you're over 30, you're not 25. So I'm not saying you'll lose it forever, but you're making a sacrifice to do an extreme sport. So for me, when I'm telling people how to maximize their effectiveness as men in maturity, so that as you near retirement, you're at the peak of your powers. You know, you're going to want to know some of the things that I'm sharing. Okay? You don't have to tell your friends you're training for a marathon, but I do think you should be fit enough to run a 5K, okay, or a 9-minute mile, okay? If you can do those things, there's a good chance that your VO2 max is providing proper oxygen circulation to your extremities, fingertips, brain, areas that the heart has to pump blood to the extremities going against gravity. You want good circulation. If you're eating a good diet with sufficient protein and not too much junk food, ultra processed with chemicals, or foods that keep your insulin high, then you should have pretty clear arteries. But there's a calcium test that your doctor can perform to tell you what sort of blockages you might have or how clear your arteries are, especially around your heart muscle. Okay, another time we'll probably have to focus on that. But right now, how much is too much? Okay, so in my case, I'm not currently training for a race, but I like to maintain my fitness and stay at the peak of my powers so that when it is time to train, I'm not starting from scratch. I'm already in a fit condition. I just have to tweak it to perform in an individual event, be it, say, a 200 or 400 meter dash, sprint, race, or whether it's up to a 5, 10, up to a 21K race, which all require different training protocols. Now, we talked about what is going to keep your hormones in an optimum state. 1, doctor sleep. 2, don't overtrain. Not too much high intensity and not too frequently. If you're having a high intensity workout, whatever your age, you should limit the duration so that you do just enough to spark hormone secretion like HGH. It'll shoot up through the roof. But if you overdo it, you'll start releasing cortisol and you'll start to dampen the benefits that you're gaining through the workout. Thirdly, what you eat. If I come off of a high intensity workout and then I have like pastries and croissants and all that and like 1 or 2 eggs, I'm going to dampen or even halt the release of HGH because my insulin's going to shoot up. Okay, so just like overtraining will get the cortisol too high and interfere with the benefits we're trying to grasp and then maintain, okay, what you eat after your workout may help to determine whether or not you're going to be on a progression where you're getting better during your recoveries. Okay, so today, 30 minutes on the treadmill, I'm going to do 4, 5, 6 sets of calisthenics, pull-ups and push-ups, a few variations, stimulate the muscles, and that's it for today. The whole thing in terms of work time is going to be under an hour. 30 minutes on the tread, about 20 minutes work, including the rests for the upper body calisthenic workout. You see what I mean? So I'm not overdoing it. Plenty of energy left for the day. My breakfast, I can tell you now, will consist of 3 to 4 eggs. It will consist of, I've got some leftover chicken. I think I've got a chicken thigh. That's got to be about 20, 25 grams of protein right there. And if I have any bread, it'll be a half piece of the bread here called chapati. So it'll be like 8 or 9 grams of carbs. And sometimes I don't even touch that. I just eat the protein. Also, I'll have something raw at the beginning. Like I'll prepare a salad. I'll have half of an avocado, some spring greens, lettuces. Probably will mince up some onion. And I'll add my own dressing because, store-bought dressings are filled with seed oils, highly processed oils, which are high in omega-6s and are detrimental. So I'll use a little extra virgin olive oil and a little balsamic and apple cider vinegar. Now, those of you that are trying to lose weight, you may say, no, balsamic, it's loaded with sugar. Yeah, well, know how much sugar's in it, and then just use a little if you're going to use it at all. But I like the way it adds a slight sweetness to the tartness of the apple cider vinegar. So that's me. I lost, almost 50 pounds of visceral and body fat after 2019 to get into the shape that I'm in. So now I'm not trying to be ultra strict. I'm not trying to stick to a strict nightly fasting protocol because I've achieved a level where now I can have flexibility. I have metabolic flexibility as well. Now, if you're out of shape, you're going to have to be a little strict because you're trying to correct metabolic imbalance. That's going to require that you substitute those starchy foods for non-starchy vegetables. Start taking on some of the protocols that I'm discussing. You're going to not overtrain, especially at the beginning. I don't want you getting dizzy or getting sick or having an episode because you never exercise and you go to a HIIT class and 10 minutes in, we're calling the paramedics because you're sweaty and faint and nauseous. We want to avoid that, okay? So this is your coach. These are my tips, and this is the subject that is on my heart today to share with you, men and women of all ages. But of course, if you're a man like me, now I'm 63, but if you're over 40, over 50, if you're planning your retirement, if you're thinking about your retirement, these are some of the principles, because your 401k does not ensure that you're virile, strong as an ox, healthy and able to enjoy your retirement. You're going to have to put some investments, just like you save into your IRA, you're going to have to put some sweat investments into your health in order to fully enjoy this last trimester of your life. Okay? Because we're talking 60 to 90, baby. How do you want to do it? Okay, now let me finish up with what I'm supposed to say here because this is going to YouTube. If you find that my spirit, my message, my attitude, the way that I present myself to you, if you find that it inspires you, that it increases your knowledge, that it in some way benefits you or could benefit someone you love, share this with them. And like this video, please subscribe to my channel and even click the bell so that when I'm inspired to share another piece of my lifelong experience, if I'm able to share it with you, you'll know about it. And please comment, tell me where you're at. Now me, I'm a Chicago boy who happens to be in East Africa living my retirement adventures. Okay, I'm running with Kenyans. Can you believe it? Wow, wow, wow. So my point is that tell me where you are. Tell me where you're at. What are your goals? And if you want to, you can even reach out to my email, which I think you can find in the description for my profile here, and send me an email. We can schedule time to have a one-on-one discussion. And no, we'll just get acquainted. It's not business. I'm not going to charge you. Monetization, I'll think about it. But right now, let's make friends. Let's build a community of like-minded individuals. Let's share a positive spirit, okay? Thanks again, guys. 20 on that one, which is fine with me. That's fine with me because I had limited rest in between sets, and we're not trying to prove anything to anyone today. But that concludes the strength portion after my cardio on the treadmill and my brief talk about how much exercise is too much if you're trying to improve vitality, health span, longevity, and optimize our hormones. And fellas, we know what that means. All right, take care. I wanted to have a short talk with you guys because, as you know, I'm just starting this channel and there's not a lot of traction because, you know, you have to get some consistency to make it work, especially on YouTube. Morning, Coach Sid. Today's talk is going to be about exercise and how much is too much. I'll go through some of the guidelines that you're going to want to think about when you're starting to get fit, if you're already fit, because we're talking about optimizing hormones, and when you're setting a goal that might be counterproductive to your vitality, longevity, and to have the most optimized hormones so that you can be your absolute best. Okay, here it comes. If you give it a watch till the end, let me know. Let me know where you're watching from. Comments are always welcome. Take care.